welcome to our session. Our topic today is Yes, I can detect cancer early. Yes, I can survive cancer. For this International Women's Day, we bring you some in depth discussions from the best oncologists, geneticists, genetic counselors, pathologists on women cancers, women health, and its management. Today, we have with us Sakshi Bakshi. She is the founder at Nucros Science and Taste. Welcome, Sakshi, on this session.
Thank you so much for having me, Payal. It's a great pleasure.
So, as you know, we are here to debunk some of the myths regarding women health, and we also would like to spread cancer awareness. So, I have a few questions around it. The first one is what should one eat during chemotherapy?
That's a great question, Payal. So, with chemo, unfortunately, you suffer from a lot of symptoms, which is the side effect of chemo. Sometimes you'll have, say, nausea, vomiting, and sometimes you'll be constipated, diarrhea. There's a lot of gastrointestinal disturbances. So you need to make sure that you're having lighter food and also making sure that you're consuming enough liquids. That is extremely important for chemo. One, because water especially helps in detoxification. So you need to eliminate toxins from your body. Secondly, a lot of times you suffer from a dry mouth. That's a common symptom with chemotherapy, and that's why you need to consume enough liquids. So having liquid or semi-liquid food is the ideal kind of choice. So I would recommend having, say, starting your breakfast with something light, such as a porridge or a cereal, having some sort of then smoothie as a shake, which will have not only your fruits and vegetables mixed in it, but it'll also have some nuts, some amount of dairy, which will provide you all the vitamins and minerals that you need. So these are two things I think extremely important. The third thing I really feel that someone should consume when they're on chemo is broth. So any kind of broth, like a vegetable broth or say a broth made out of chicken or just bones of any kind of meat is extremely beneficial, because broth has a lot of electrolytes, so sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, which usually happens which you usually tend to lose if you're having chemotherapy. So just to make sure that your energy levels are up, that you don't feel tired that often, make sure you're consuming a healthy levels of electrolytes. You can also always have a supplement of an electrolyte powder, or otherwise include some of the protein supplements that are out there, like Boost, Ensure. There are a lot of protein powders available for chemotherapy especially. Apart from that, I think I've already touched upon a couple of important topics, but the second important point is about protein. What happens is that while with chemotherapy, right, a lot of our damaged cells, are getting further damaged. We're removing cells. So we need to make sure that our body repairs those cells. And for that muscle repair, we need to increase the amount of protein we take. And in that sense, we need to make sure, if you're a non-vegetarian, there are plenty of sources available, such as chicken, fish, eggs. However, if you're a vegetarian, there are also enough sources. You could have nuts and seeds, you could have lentils, you could have, say, dairy, so imagine paneer, then think of like yogurt. All these are great sources of protein also. And lastly, I would like to mention is, apart from protein, another very important point is fat. The thing is that with chemotherapy, a person loses weight extremely quickly. You drop weight, and that's not great to have. Your body needs to have an adequate amount of nutrition. However, with chemo, very common side effect is that you lose your appetite. You do not feel hungry. You don't feel, you feel extremely tired. In these cases, fat plays an important role because it provides you important nutrition, not just for you to feel energized, but also to make sure that your calories are on par and that you're not losing weight. So these are extremely important things. And I think as long as you're including all of them, then it's great. Also, of course, it's important to maintain a healthy diet. But however, since you lose your appetite so quickly, just make sure that you eat whatever favorite foods you like, whether that be a pizza or something. It's okay to have, don't avoid any such foods as long as they're in a moderate quantity.
Thank you so much. You really clarified a lot of things over this a couple of minutes, and this has been I think, the most important topic for people who are undergoing chemotherapy. So, second question I have is, can one reverse PCOS with diet?
Great question, Payal. So, we talked about, of course, cancer and since we're discussing women's related cancers today, and now you're talking about another very important women's health topic, PCOS. So firstly, let me just clarify what PCOS is. So PCOS stands for polycystic ovary syndrome, and it's predominantly, you'll see, it's obviously a women disorder only, and you'll predominantly see it happen after puberty. However, it can happen at actually any age. But some common signs and symptoms that you'll see of PCOS is acne, hair fall, and all of this happens because there's a hormonal imbalance in our body. What happens is that the ovary starts producing too many egg follicles. I'm getting a little bit technical here, but just try to stay along with me. So it leads to an increase in estrogen and increase in your male androgen levels. So that's extremely, that's the biggest problem. That's why you see a lot of excess hair on different parts of your body. You'll see female baldness, you'll see acne, and that's basically because your male androgen levels are increasing. So now that we come to talk about PCOS, and you asked me if it's reversible. Well, PCOS is actually more of a lifestyle disorder, and unfortunately, it's not reversible. However, it can be managed with the right diet and lifestyle. So I would suggest, if you have PCOS, one, you should maintain a low carbohydrate diet. That is ideal for PCOS because, and this is extremely important, the reason we recommend a low carbohydrate diet is most women with PCOS develop insulin resistance. So what happens is that, because of the imbalance in hormone level, your body starts producing too much insulin, and sometimes or reducing insulin, which leads to insulin resistance. Unfortunately, because of this, your any amount of carbohydrates that you eat automatically gets converted to sugar, and which spikes up your insulin levels. So you need to make sure reducing your amount of carbohydrates and increasing your amount of proteins in your plan again. So ideally, I would like to limit my carbohydrate intake to 25% of my plate, and only making sure that I avoid any kind of processed foods, any kind of maida, wheat, and only including complex carbohydrates such as, say, quinoa, barley, oat, all of these ones which are much more healthier, and millets as well. I would also avoid food groups such as dairy, because sometimes dairy, the kind of milk that we have available, is often adulterated, often has hormones, which can lead to further worsening of your symptoms such as acne. Other than that, I'll also recommend avoiding gluten in your plan, just because gluten can cause inflammation in your body. So these are some common intolerances that you usually find. And if you are able to maintain a food diary, you can recognize what foods you're reacting to and accordingly avoid them in your plan. Other than that, just have a healthy lifestyle, make sure you're exercising regularly. Another very important point I think I would like to mention with PCOS is mental health. Often because of the, whatever imbalances, you often feel anxious. Depression is extremely common with PCOS. So just making sure that you're managing your stress levels, managing, your mental health by practicing gratitude, by meditating, or having adequate amount of sleep and exercise to boost your mood. These are all great things that you should be doing. So I hope this answers your question.
It absolutely does. I think you're giving it too much in these 2 minutes in terms of actions to follow. So the last question we have is there any other message for us women on this International Women's Day?
Um, it's a great question that you asked. I feel like as women, we are often cast into stereotypical roles or buckets, and there's a lot of pressure that comes from not just managing your home, managing your family, a lot of things. I feel like that women have to go through. And I would just say that to all the women out there, like I think we are all doing fabulous jobs. Everyone in their own right has performed extremely well, and they should have the freedom of doing whatever they want or whatever they choose. And I would just say that don't be afraid of following your dreams. Oftentimes we succumb to the pressure from the outside world. Just believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Uh, it's always that doubt leads to failure, never by following your dreams. So always make sure that you do not lose your motivation and just keep striving forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This was really very fruitful 5-10 minutes that we spent with you. Thank you so much, Sakshi.
It's my pleasure.